Yeah, let's talk about this. This goes way back. Did you ever see the movie Miracle on Ice?
Yeah.
About Team USA?
Kurt Russell.
Gold medal, the Olympics, 1980. The gentleman that triggered the success of Team USA's hockey program has just passed away. His name was Robert Fleming. He's 97 years of age. He was an industrialist and a banker based out of Minnesota. He was the president of USA Hockey for a long time. He's in the U.S. Hockey Hall of Fame. Should be in the NHL Hall of Fame, too. Robert Fleming is the one who hired Herb Brooks, who created a lot of dissension and a lot of tension about his method of operation. But this is after Team USA had been smoked by the Russians years and years and years in international global competition. Robert Fleming passed away at the age of 97. He gave Brooks the chance. He's the one that stood up with Brooks in the meetings and said, let this man coach, because he had already won NCAA championships at the University of Minnesota. Let him put together a different type of squad. And he merged. He allowed Herb Brooks to merge all the hockey players from Minnesota, Duluth, Wisconsin, University of Michigan, Boston College, Boston University, brought them all together. If you've never seen the movie, go find it on Netflix. Miracle on Ice, spectacular. But anyhow, this guy was so influential in the arrival, the building, and the success that USA Hockey had in 1980 at Lake Placid. Miracle on Ice, Robert Fleming. Really nice guy. That's a name you don't think of people behind the scenes, but he was the catalyst that allowed Brooks to come, and Brooks to bring Jim Craig, the goaltender, and Brooks to bring Eruzione and all those other guys there.
I'm interested in asking you about this because you're an old-time hockey broadcaster. Were you broadcasting hockey in 1980?
Yeah.
You were? Okay. So, because I'm thinking, like, in 1980, I was 15 years old, and I knew it was a big deal that Team USA beat Team
Russia.
Was it Russia or
Yes.
USSR?
Well, USSR.
Okay. And so I understood the magnitude of it. These college kids beat the best team on the planet, so-called. But I would imagine from your perspective, working, as you did growing up broadcasting hockey, that it meant something much different to the hockey community than maybe to the average fan.
We had won a medal in the Olympics in 1960. I don't know how that happened, but it did. With Team USA at that time. I think the Olympics that year might have been in Cortina, Italy. And from 1960 on, the Soviet Union changed everything. And you were constricted if you were a hockey star, and you were going to be employed by the army in Russia, but you were there to play hockey. And they brought in all the greatest players in Russia, and they were conscripted to be in the military. And that's all you did was train and play hockey. And then they became a global power. And they just destroyed the competition because, quote, everybody was an amateur. Well, in the USSR, they were not amateurs. They were paid, quote, soldiers who played hockey. So to see that happen from 1960 on up until we got to 1980, and then to have this one-time happenstance occur, just stunning.
Well, how much later on, if you roll the calendar back, did we allow Russian hockey players into the NHL?
They did not come until the 70s or 80s. I was right in the middle. I was doing World Hockey Association at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when players fled Russia, Czechoslovakia, and the Iron Curtain countries, all in the middle of the night to get here. Some came to the Detroit Red Wings. A bunch came to the World Hockey Association where I was working. And they were the first ones off the boat. And they left families behind to flee in the middle of the night so they could pursue their careers in the NHL. It was a drip, 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 but more and more players came, and then they finally opened up the gates, and then they negotiated with the Russian Hockey Federation an exchange program where players could come here and play and would not be sanctioned and could go home in the off season. Took forever, but it was in the mid-'70s, I think, where it really started. Detroit had a corner on European players. They were one of the first ones that really recruited European guys. And then what happened was that not only did the Russians come, then the Scandinavian players said, that's where the money is. I'm going to leave my country. And they came from Sweden and Finland. And then they just came in droves to the point now we got so many great international global players. It's spectacular. It's changed the whole game of the NHL.
The way you were describing, they weren't allowed, then drip, 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 more came. And and a lot of them left in the middle of the night. It just reminds me of baseball players from Cuba.
Exactly.
And they were escaping, and then eventually the Major League Baseball, the Cuban government, they worked something out. Right.
Exactly. So that's the latest story there. Hockey, Robert Fleming, a name behind the scenes nobody knows, but a man that had great input in the arrival of Herb Brooks, who was a pretty hard nut to deal with.